In 1994, this is what I looked like. So this was California's worst nightmare.
You've been traveling the country giving these talks, and in one of your pieces you talk about kind of feeling bamboozled when you're asked to speak about being undocumented. What do you mean by that?
I just feel like sometimes the questions come with this kind of assumption that the answer is going to be a certain way. I'm very conscious about like shifting the narrative and opening up other conversations that I feel like we're still not having. So my answer might be silly and you'll be like, oh, it's, why are you making me laugh? Like I'll just make up, a border crossing story. Like it's not like you're gonna go check the facts, So I was like, oh my God, La Virgen de Guadalupe one day whispered into my grandmother's ears and she said, we have to migrate here because I'm the Messiah. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to create narratives that are not just, so serious. I think we've made immigration and being undocumented something really serious and political when I think that's not the case,
What do you mean by that that's not the case? And I think maybe it stems a little bit from your childhood, that this label didn't exist in your childhood.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was no language to talk about being undocumented. You weren't out here saying I'm undocumented. It was just this thing that it is what it is, and you continue building and growing and, going to your jobs and doing whatever. So for me, like, there's nothing undocumented about my body, nothing in my nothing, that is undocumented. It's just a condition. And I think that's what we miss. We kind of forget a lot of times that it's just like poverty. It's a condition that you're growing up in. It's not really an identity. I love my undocumented people because the way our spirits are toyed with, you need some unfathomable strength.
DocuJoy is kind of your answer to that. Can you talk about what you seek to do with that?
So DocuJoy was a campaign that we started with the organization that I used to work for, Define American. And we basically just had this conversation about like, when I was growing up, the undocumented people that I know were powerful, like to build a life, to get a job, to learn the language, to continue to mobilize. I think there's a certain power in that. And how come when we are showcasing narratives that have undocumented subjects, there isn't any of that? And I just got tired. And I was like, I want to showcase how powerful my friends are. Because at the end of the day, somehow we always manage to make something out of nothing.
You talk about how when you're a kid, you have to translate for your parents and your grandparents, and you develop this agency. And that speaks to the strength that you and your friends have. And so now, as more usually liberal white people are trying to march on your behalf and rally, and on their behalf too, because these are their policies that they want to see changed too, but it doesn't quite jive with what you know about your community.
It's interesting when people invite me to a panel and I have two people who happen to be citizens sitting next to me and their label is so-and-so immigration expert. And then you have me, Yosimar Reyes, and you put DACA recipient. Like these labels that kind of supposed to, like I'm the immigration expert. If anything, I'm the immigration expert here because this is my life. So things like that. And I think like, I don't know, there's a fine line between that and what gets co-opted, right? Like this kind of like, there's this idea that people don't think I can speak for myself or that I can articulate my own predicament, and because of it, they need to step forward. And I appreciate that. I think I appreciate that. But I think we've reached the point where the platforms needs to be led and the messaging needs to be led by people that are directly impacted by that conditioning.
There's a lot of people in San Diego who are interested in supporting immigrants. Hearing this, they might feel a loss as to where to go next. What would be your advice?
One of the biggest things is mentorship. Like if you have a skill that you are well aware of and you happen to know an undocumented student that might need that, I think that's a step in the right direction. And also not taking it personal, but I'm trying to create something, trying to be critical of an infrastructure that has happened since we started talking about immigration in the early 2000s. And hopefully we're stepping into a new era. But look at us, thriving,